Good evening. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 books that have changed my life and that have given me some of the best advice that I've come across in all the reading I've done so far. Some of the most influential, some of the most powerful advice I've ever read. And those 3 books are Meditations, Seneca's Letters, Letters on Ethics, and Epictetus' Discourses. I'll start with Epictetus' Discourses. Technically, it's titled Epictetus' Discourses Fragments Handbook, but it's mainly known as Discourses. So the other 2 books are written by the actual people. Meditations was written by Marcus Aurelius. Letters on Ethics was written by Seneca. But Epictetus' Discourses was written by one of his students. So somebody who attended his classes, they wrote down all the conversations and everything they learned in that class. So Epictetus didn't directly write it, but it's his words. So that is still super important. And then we have the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This book has been read by world leaders, influential people, powerful people all throughout history. It's just a classic. Everyone knows about Meditations. I don't need to talk much about this unless you haven't read it, of course. Basically, Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor, almost 2,000 years ago. And he would write down in his journal his battles, what he was going through. And not only would he document what he was going through, but he would give himself advice. And the advice he gave himself was incredible because, it's basically advice to all humanity, all of humankind. It's very, very good stuff. It comes in the way of short passages, like it was just little journal entries that he made. He was never intended for it to get out. It was not a book he was writing for other people. It was a book he was writing for himself. And not even a book. It was a journal. Like little journal entries. And just some of the most powerful stuff you'll ever read. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic King. And obviously these are all Stoic books. They all base themselves around Stoicism. Or they were written by Stoic philosophers, people who practice Stoicism. And then we have Seneca's Letters on Ethics. This is really good. It's really big, but it was basically Seneca wrote a series of letters on purpose for posterity. He wanted these letters to be preserved, and he was writing it, as kind of like a book for other people down the line, hundreds of thousands of years. I don't know how far ahead he was thinking, but he wrote them so that other people could read them for the foreseeable future. And they're really good. He was writing them to his friend Lucius, something. I was terrible with names. But he was writing them to his friend. Just some of the best advice, just giving him advice because Seneca was older and his friend was younger. So he was kind of giving him advice, but also just writing down all his knowledge, everything he'd practiced throughout his life. Seneca didn't necessarily follow a lot of his own advice, unfortunately, but he still gave really, really good advice, and I think that's the important part. But yeah, these 3 books, they're all centered around Stoicism. They're Stoic books, Stoic Philosophy. If you're getting into Stoic Philosophy, you read these books. But I don't want to, labeling them as Stoic Philosophy to, throw people off or keep them off guard and, make them ignore it. Because although it's Stoic philosophy, it's really just general life advice. Some of the best advice any person can apply to their life. It's not like if you don't want to call yourself a Stoic or if you don't want to read Stoic philosophy, I still believe you should read these because it's not like someone from a different religion reading Christianity, work of Christianity, like Christian work or the Bible. It's like, obviously, if you don't believe in Christianity, you're not going to read the Bible. But if you don't believe in Stoicism, like if you don't want to call yourself a Stoic, you can still get so much from these books because they're just giving you advice on life. They went through extreme hardships we can't even imagine today, or most of us can't imagine today. And they got through it, and they wrote about it. And they wrote about their challenges, and they wrote about their advice and how to get out of those challenges. Epictetus' Discourses is really good because he was teaching a class. So he would say something, and then students would say something back. It's kind of like listening or reading a conversation from thousands of years ago, and it just makes it, it's easy to follow, and listening to a conversation helps you like wrap your mind around the argument or the advice, which is really nice. But these books have been so influential to me in my life. There is power behind the words in these books. There really is power behind them. is just some of the best advice I've ever read. There are so many things in my life, and there's so many things in everyone's lives, that these words, that these messages, these letters, these journal entries, there's so many of them that are an antidote to life's problems. A new way of looking at things, a new way of looking at the challenges that lay ahead of you or the challenges that you're going through right now. It really is some of the best stuff I've read. And most of my videos are based off these books. The advice I've read in this book is, I just want to share it because I think it's so good, and so I make these videos. A lot of influences for my videos come from these books, and many others, of course. And of course, I'm at the beginning of my reading journey. There's hundreds of thousands of books out there that I've yet to read. So for me right now, this is the best advice I've read. These books are the best guides for life that I've come across. Of course, there could be better works out there. I'm sure there's plenty of people that could argue that there's better works out there, but I haven't read those works yet. So right now, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Letters on Ethics by Seneca, and Epictetus' Discourses. You can get them all on Amazon or any bookstore, really, and they're just incredible, and I highly recommend them. That's why I'm making this video, because I just wanted to help other people find this vast wealth of knowledge that lays within these books. I appreciate you listening. Have a great day.